start recording. All right, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. Thank you for being here at Health Corner. Let me see here. Oops. Oh, perfect. All right. So last week's Healthy Habit Challenge, our new Healthy Habit Challenge was to talk about one tip that we talked about for water safety and sharing it with 2 people, right? Does anyone want to share what they did for the challenge? Anyone want to share? You could do any of them. So you could do hydration, sun safety. Yeah, go ahead, Kailani. Oh, you have to unmute. Sorry.
Where did stay in the house? Stay in the house.
You stayed in the house to stay sun safe. Great. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone else want to share something that they did from the challenges we had?
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, I put on sunblock and I drink a lot of water. And I was in the shade on Saturday at soccer practice.
Perfect, Nicole Kelly. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Kiana, did I see your hand raised? Perfect. Yeah, you can go ahead and share. And then Gilbert, you'll be next, okay?
I drink lots of water and stay home. Yeah.
Perfect. You stayed home to stay out of the sun.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. Go ahead, Gilbert.
And so I learned how to stay active and go walking exercises and drink plenty of water and stay hydrated.
Perfect. That's great, Gilbert. I love to hear it. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome anytime.
All right. All right. All good stuff, everyone. And if you didn't get to share, we'll have plenty of opportunities to share at today's Health Corner. So let's see what we're talking about. So today we are talking about nutrition in the summer. Nutrition's super important, right? Especially because we're athletes. So my slides are so slow today. All right. Can anyone name the 5 major food groups, or would you like to try to name one? Could take a guess. How about this red one right here? It looks to be about 1/4 of our plate. Do we want to guess what that is?
I think I'm going to take a guess. I think it's cereal.
Okay, that's a great guess. Thank you for that guess, Nicole Kelly. It's actually fruits. So fruit is one of the major food groups that we want to focus on.
Oh, yeah, like Raisin Bran, that's fruits.
Raisins are fruits. The bran part is not quite fruits, but we'll talk about that. Thank you for that point, though.
Yeah, I was raisins, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. So we've got fruits here. What about this blue one? Does anyone want to guess? It kind of looks like a cup. Yes, Kailani, you'd like to guess?
Orange.
Orange is a type of fruit. That's a great guess. Thank you for that guess. What about this one? Does anyone else want to guess? We're thinking of a type of food, so a food group. No one has a guess? That's okay. It's dairy. So dairy is, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it's a good source of calcium. It's a good source of protein. Okay, what about this green one? What's green that we eat sometimes? It's similar to fruits.
Yeah, I'm going to take a guess. It says it's green. I think it's vegetables.
That's a great guess. That's exactly right, Nicole Kelly. So fruits and vegetables make up about half our plate, right? We want a really balanced plate. Now, what about this orange one? Yep, Gilbert, vegetables, exactly, yes. Kailani, broccoli is a type of vegetable. This orange one here is similar to what Nicole Kelly said earlier. In the bran part of Raisin Bran, it's called grains. And this last one here, that helps us build muscles, it's protein. Okay, so those are the 5 major food groups. I'm sure you all have heard of them or know about them, but we're just gonna go over them a little bit today. And these are all the great things that they do for us. So what does a balanced plate look like? Well, I'll tell you a secret. There's not one perfect way or only one way to make a balanced plate, right? So a balanced plate, depending on what culture we eat from or what we're in the mood for, can look different in a lot of ways, right? These are all different types of food from all different cultures, but these are all really great balanced plates. So the way to build a balanced plate is we want to aim for half our plate to be made up of fruits and vegetables, a fourth of our plate to be made up of grains, and a fourth to be protein. Okay, that equals one whole big plate. And we, of course, would like a little bit of dairy here and there so that we get all those great nutrients. Okay, but look, there are so many different ways to build a really healthy, balanced plate. And why should we eat a balanced plate? Well, a balanced diet supplies the nutrients our body needs to work effectively. We're all athletes. We train really hard all the time, and we want to make sure that we're fueling appropriately, right? Because without balanced nutrition, our body's more prone to disease, infection, more prone to getting hurt when we're exercising. We're more prone to fatigue, which is just like being super tired, and low performance. So we want to make sure that we're fueling with enough nutrients so that we can perform and live our best. And summer is a great time to kickstart healthy eating because we typically have a little bit more time on our hands. We can maybe try new foods, maybe spend some more time in the kitchen and help cook. And there's so many in-season fruits and vegetables that will just help us get started, right? Everything is always easier when the food tastes better, right? So something I want us to learn about today is that not all food has the same nutrient value. Food is fuel, so food keeps our body going, gives us energy, but the more nutrient dense something is, the more useful it is to our body because it contains important things like vitamins and minerals, all that good stuff that helps keep us going, right? So something like an apple has more nutrients in it in comparison to something like a donut. We can have space for both of them in our diets, but we need to keep in mind that the apple is going to be more beneficial to us in the long run. So, what are processed foods? Processed foods are foods that have been modified or changed from their original form. So processing typically takes away some of the nutrients by bleaching or using chemicals, kind of changing them into something different, right? So if we look at this picture, an apple is unprocessed, right? You can see an apple on a tree, pluck it right off and eat it. I would wash it first, but you could just pluck it right off and eat it. But something processed might be something like an apple flavored gummy bear, right? That's been changed. There's no gummy bears growing out on trees anywhere. Can anyone think of another example of a processed food or want to take a guess at what a processed food might look like? It's okay if you are wrong and if you just want to take a guess. Yeah, Kailani. Oops, sorry.
Let's see. Cereal?
Yeah, that's a great guess. That's perfect. Yeah, a lot of cereals are processed. Exactly. Remember, like cereal is not out in the wild growing, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that all cereal is just bad for us, period. It just means that we need to be aware of how processed something is, and we want to make sure that the rest of our diet is balanced with other unprocessed things.
Yeah.
All right, so what are whole foods? Whole foods are foods that have not been processed, refined, or had any ingredients added to them. So these are things like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, meat, fish, eggs, all things that can be found in nature, right? So if we look at this picture, like corn, right, is super fresh corn is not processed at all. But as we start to can things or pop popcorn, that kind of stuff, that's all starting to get processed. Yeah, Seth, do you have a question or you want to add a comment?
You can spotlight me if you don't mind.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, maybe like cracker stuff or
Yeah.
mac salad stuff. Can it be?
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you for sharing that. Exactly. So a lot of crackers, a lot of chips, that kind of stuff is processed. That once again doesn't mean that we can never eat those things. It just means that we want to make sure we're eating a more balanced diet with other whole foods, right? So we want to focus on eating more whole foods. Think of food that you look at and can recognize as something that exists in nature, like broccoli, as someone suggested, a fish or potato, right? Like these are all things that just exist out in nature. We can't go out in nature and find a bag of chips, right? That does not work. Whole foods, because they have not been modified, offer us more nutrients and vitamins, and therefore they're a little bit better for us. Yes, Chris, do you have something to add?
Grapes. I prefer to eat grapes for dessert after dinner.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, exactly. So we're actually going to talk a little bit more about our food groups, but that's a great option. Yep, Kyle, avocados. Awesome. All right. But remember, and this is super important, I want you all to remember this, it's all about balance. There's room for all foods in our diets, okay? So we can have whole foods, we can have processed foods, everything. We just want to focus on eating mostly whole foods because they provide us more fuel and more nutrients for our bodies to function. All right, so let's get into some tips. So summer is the perfect season to get started on eating whole foods because when possible, we want to eat in-season produce as it's the freshest. And summer offers a lot of in-season fruits and veggies, which is awesome. Yeah, exactly, Gilbert, tangerines and oranges. So look at all of these fruits that are in season in the summer. In-season fruits means that they're ripe in the summer and they're gonna taste the best. And fruit can be a great snack for before or after sports, or we can get creative and make it into a dessert. Like our friend Chris suggested, he likes to eat grapes after as dessert. That's great, right? We can have watermelon. We have really fresh watermelon here in Hawaii, which is really awesome. Mangoes. It's not on papaya or lychee too. Yeah, Nicole Kelly, go ahead.
Of course, my favorite is strawberries, blueberries, grapes. Of course, I've been bringing them for lunch when I go to program.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I love all the fruits too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So let's remember, right? We want fruits and veggies combined to make up half of our plate at every meal. So we really want to pack those good things in there because these things have the most nutrients for us. So my question for you is fruit a whole food? Do we think fruit is a whole food? We can nod or shake our heads. Kailani, you don't think fruit is a whole food? Does anybody think fruit is a whole food?
I think so. Of course, you can put half it on the plate with the main dish.
Yep, thank you for sharing that. Let's see. So it depends. It depends, right? Which of these fruits is a whole food? Do we think it's the one on the left or on the right? Yeah, Kiana?
The right.
The right, exactly right. That's absolutely correct. It is the one right here, right? These are all fresh fruits. But just note that just because this fruit right here on the left is dried doesn't necessarily mean it's unhealthy, right? It just means that oftentimes when we dry fruits, we add a lot of extra sugar to them to make them taste a little bit better. And so fresh fruit can often be a better answer or a better choice because we don't need to add any sugar to fresh fruit. And fresh fruit keeps us hydrated because it has all that water content, right? When we dry out fruits, we lose all that water. So when we can, we want to be eating whole foods like fresh fruits. Yeah, Seth, exactly. You're exactly right. Sorry, I'm trying to remember to check the chat here too. All right, so how much fruit do we need per day? It's recommended that we eat at least 2 cups of fruit daily. So here's a little chart on the side as to what equates to 1 cup of fruit, or you can just measure it at home, right? If you cut up some fruit, you can always measure it and see. Or if you don't have time to measure, a good guide is just fruits and vegetables should make up at least half of our plate at every meal. And that will ensure that we are getting enough. Yeah, Kyle, 1 banana, exactly right. And once again, eating fruit is a great way to stay hydrated. We could even try freezing some fruit and using it as ice instead of ice cubes in our water. How fun would that be, right? It would flavor our water too and maybe help keep us extra hydrated. Yes, Kailani. Yep, a watermelon. Yeah, exactly, Seth. That's great. You should always be eating fruits. Anything in your fridge. Summer's a great season to eat those fruits, right? Everything's in season. So now let's talk about some vegetables. Summer's also a great time to eat lots of fresh veggies because like I said, a lot of things are in season in the summer. This little chart is all the summer veggies or some of the summer veggies that are in season. And can be really fun to cook with new recipes or have as a snack, right? Like we could have cucumbers or broccoli or bell peppers as a snack. What are some of your favorite ways to eat veggies? Does anyone want to share? Yeah, Kiana, go ahead. Oops, you gotta unmute. Sorry.
Cucumber and peppers.
Yeah, awesome. I love those two as well. Those are some of my favorites. Yeah, Kailani, go ahead.
Maybe broccoli.
Yeah, cool. You like broccoli? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And yep, Kyle, spinach and garlic. Awesome. Great to add to lots of things. Gilbert, corn and broccoli, tomatoes and bell peppers. Awesome. You guys are great vegetable eaters, I see. Yes, Nicole Kelly.
And oh yeah, guess what? I like carrots and celery because you can chop them up and then put them in a Ziploc bag for a snack bag.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great tip. I love that tip. It is a perfect crunchy snack to eat, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, vegetables. With every plate, we want to aim for lots of colors and variety. Each different vegetable, if you can even believe it, offers us different nutrients. So, if we only eat, say, I only eat broccoli for the rest of my life, broccoli is good for me, right? Like it's a whole food, but I'm going to be missing out on a lot of the nutrients that, say, a tomato could offer me because they're going to have different things. So we want to eat the rainbow, okay? Like this. We want as much variety as we can get with our fruits and veggies. And let's just remember that this side is a whole food, right? Doesn't mean veggie straws are necessarily bad for us, but it just means that we want to focus on eating as many whole foods as we can to keep a balanced diet. All right, so how many, yeah, Kyle, carrots, exactly. So how many vegetables should we eat per day? We want to eat at least 3 cups of vegetables per day, right? So 2 cups of fruit, 3 cups of vegetables. So to make it easier on ourselves, we could have at least 1 serving with every meal, and we could try adding it into a snack as well, like our friend Nicole Kelly suggested. We could pack it as a snack. And at every meal, we want to make sure that fruits and veggies are making up half of our plate. And we should always remember to eat the rainbow to get all those good nutrients in, huh? All right. So, and this is just a little chart for you if you find it helpful. All right. So yeah, 1 bell pepper, 2 cups of fruit, 3 cups of vegetables. Exactly. Thank you guys. That's a great summary. So what are grains? We talked a little bit about it earlier, like when Nicole mentioned Raisin Bran, right? The bran part of that is grains. So grains are carbohydrates. They're a really important part of our plate because they give us quick energy. So anytime we are competing, right, maybe we have a race or a game, carbohydrates, grains are really, really important. So any food made from wheat, rice, oats, any other cereal is a grain product. So things like bread and pasta and tortillas, all those great things are part of the grain group. Yep, Nicole, would you like to share something?
Yep, and I know as part of that, have you tried the overnight oatmeal? Oatmeal is healthy too.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Exactly. So the cool thing about oatmeal, right? It can be a very balanced meal. So we can get our grains in there and we can add some fruits maybe to get one of those other food groups in there. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but we can maybe add some dairy too with some milk. It could be a really balanced meal. But for right now, let's focus on the grains here. So grains are really, really important. They're going to give us a lot of quick energy that we need. Whole grains versus refined grains, they are different. So whole grains are kind of similar to whole foods. They're not as processed. And so because they're not as processed, they're better sources of fiber and other nutrients such as vitamins and minerals. So super, super important. We want to be eating things like whole wheat bread and oats, like our friend Nicole suggested, quinoa, brown or red or purple rice, whole grain pasta, and maybe even some popcorn. We could have a little bit of popcorn as a snack, huh? There are tons of great ways to eat these whole grains, but we want to focus on whole foods and whole grains because with refined grains, the way that refined grains are processed removes a lot of the nutrients and a lot of the vitamins. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad for us or that we can never have them, right? There's room for all foods in our diet, but it's really important that we focus on whole foods and whole grains because they have more nutrients. So how many grains do we need daily? It's recommended that we eat 5 to 8 servings or ounces of grains daily, with at least 3 servings being whole grains, okay? So if we look at these, so half a cup of brown rice is 1 serving of whole grains. We want at least 3 servings of whole grains daily. And our grains should be 1/4 of our plate at every meal. So so far, what do we got? We got half a plate of fruits and veggies, and now we have an additional 1/4 that's gonna be grains, preferably whole grains. Yep, Kailani, yep, Gilbert, yep, all this good stuff. We want whole wheat bread, whole grains. So like this little picture says, we wanna be eating lots of fruits and veggies. We wanna be eating lots of unprocessed grains. And slowly as we get here, we want to be eating less of foods and drinks that are high in added sugar or refined grains. We want to be eating less of those just because they're less nutritious for us. There's less value to eating them for our bodies. So what is protein? Our last piece of our plate that we need to build here. So protein, yeah, Kiana, go ahead. You want to share?
Like salmon and maybe steak.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So protein is all seafood, like Kiana said, salmon. That's a great example. It's a really healthy protein. Meat, poultry, so things like chicken or duck. Yeah, Kyle, pork and beans, exactly. And eggs are protein too. Beans, peas, lentils. And there's some soy products too if we're vegetarian. That's a good option. Yeah, Gilbert, do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. And for proteins, I eat ahi fish and grilled chicken and also steak too.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That is great. Yes, Spam, Zoe, that is a protein, although that's a processed protein, right? So we want to try and stick to whole foods as much as we can. Protein is super, super important for us as athletes, okay? because when we exercise, when we work out, we want to build muscle, right? And protein is what, yeah, exactly, Kiana. We want to be strong and build muscle. And protein is what is going to help us do just that. Protein is a building block for our muscles to grow. So it's super important that we make sure we're getting enough protein every day. Oh, there it is. All right. So, right here, protein, I jumped again. Protein is a building block for our bones, our muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. They're also building blocks for lots of enzymes and vitamins that our body needs to survive. So meat and poultry choices, we want to make sure that we're getting lean or low fat options, because too much fat can be really damaging to our arteries, okay? So we can choose seafood options like salmon, like Kiana said, or trout, or even ahi, right? There's lots of fresh fish in Hawaii. Or we want to be eating lean beef, lean chicken. We could eat eggs or tofu. These are all great options. Yep, hamburger, tuna, perfect. Grilled chicken breast, awesome. Corned beef, yep. These are all great choices, but remember, we still want to focus on eating whole foods, okay? So if we look on this end, this plain chicken that we can maybe grill or put on a barbecue is going to be a lot more nutrient dense for us than this fried chicken nugget, right? Because the chicken nugget's been processed. So a lot of the nutrients have been stripped away, which doesn't mean that it's entirely all bad for us, but it just means that we want to be focusing on eating this side of the spectrum. All right, so how much protein do we need every day to build those strong muscles for our sports? We want to eat at least 15 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. So at every meal, right, half our plate is fruits and veggies, 1/4 is grains, and 1/4 is proteins. So like veggies, we want to try to have a variety of proteins throughout the day too. And we can eat both meat and plant-based options. So I bet you didn't know that peas have protein in them. I didn't know that, but that's really cool, right? So that can be, it can double as both part protein and part veggie. Or chickpeas can be both part grain and part protein. It's really cool that these foods have all these different properties. Yeah, exactly, Kyle. Yogurt is a great option too. So what is included in the dairy food group? Our very last food group for today. Dairy includes milk, yogurt, cheese, lactose-free milk, fortified soy milk, and yogurt. So these are all really great options. And consuming dairy products is really important because it helps us maintain strong bones. Bones are super important, right? Our skeleton helps us with mobility. It lets us move around. It helps us play sports. Yeah, Gilbert, these are great examples of dairy. Foods in the dairy group provide nutrients that are super important for our health and maintenance of our bodily function. So these nutrients include calcium, potassium, vitamin D, and protein. So dairy has a little bit of protein in it, which is really awesome. It can help us hit all of our protein goals. Yes, Kyle, cheddar cheese is great. Now, let's see, this little pensive emoji in the corner. Where else do we get vitamin D? We talked about it at Health Corner a few weeks ago. Protein gives us vitamin D, or sorry, dairy gives us vitamin D, but where else do we get vitamin D from? Does anyone remember? It's not something that you eat. That's my hint. Where else do we get vitamin D? Yeah, Nicole, do you want to guess?
If it's a vitamin C, that means drink orange juice.
Yep, that's how we get vitamin C, but where do we get vitamin D?
Oh, and that's from the sun.
Yes, exactly, Nicole Kelly. Thank you. That was a tricky one. Exactly. We get vitamin D from the sun. So we can also get it from drinking milk or eating yogurt, right? We can get it from dairy products, but we can also go outside and soak in some vitamin D through our skin. So Notice that dairy is not necessarily on our plate, but beside it. This is because many times dairy can be included in our meal without us even realizing, right? So for example, like cheese and pasta, if we have like a veggie pasta, right? Our fruits and veggies make up half of our plate. We have a little bit of grains in the pasta, and we add some cheese on there. Maybe we have some chicken with the pasta. So it's, there's our protein, and we have cheese on top. There's our dairy right there. So it doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily need to go out of our way all the time to include it. And dairy can also include lots of saturated fat, which is not so good for us in excess. So we should always be mindful when we're having dairy of how much we're having and what kind of dairy we're having. So how much dairy do we need per day? It's recommended that we have about 2 to 3 cups of dairy in the form of low fat or fat-free milk, cheese, yogurt, or fortified soy every day. That much is what's going to give us all of those great benefits of nutrients like vitamins and minerals. And dairy is found in lots of food. So we want to be choosing healthy options. So maybe we could do some yogurt, right? And if we do yogurt, we pick the plain yogurt instead of the flavored one at the store, because sometimes they add a lot of sugar to that. We can add our own fruits at home, right? And that could be so fun because you get to pick exactly what you have in your food. All right. And just my last reminder for you all, remember that it's all about balance. We want to focus on mostly eating whole foods, but we can and should enjoy everything in moderation, right? There's room for all foods in our diet. So if we only ate fruits and veggies every single day for the rest of our lives, that would be so boring, right? We have to have space for fun foods that we like, even if they're processed. We just want to focus on mostly eating whole foods. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I know we went over a lot of information today. Yeah, Kiana, do you have a question?
Or like have a smoothie or more vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. A smoothie is a great way to get a lot of those nutrients in. So we could do fruits and veggies in our smoothie. We could add a little bit of yogurt or milk to get some protein and our dairy in there. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, Kailani, go ahead.
Can you put like strawberry in your smoothie too?
Yeah, exactly. So strawberry is an example of a what? What food group does the strawberry go into?
Vegetables?
It's a fruit. It's a fruit, but exactly. Fruits and veggies, we want to make up half our plate, right? So exactly. It's a fruit and it absolutely has a place in that smoothie. It sounds really good. All right, everybody. So our healthy habit challenges. These are all the old ones that I want you to keep doing, right? Because they're super important. So we still want to be staying hydrated. We still want to be talking about sun safety. We still want to be staying active, and we still want to be talking about water safety. And this week's one is to choose one tip about nutrition that we talked about today and do it at home at least 2 times this week. So maybe you could pick one food group, right? Say you pick fruits and veggies. I know that's technically 2 food groups, but we want fruits and veggies to make up half of our plate at every meal, right? So if I pick fruits and veggies, I can focus on eating half a plate's full of fruits and veggies at every meal, okay? And I want you to try to do it at home at least 2 times this week. And we will share on next week's Health Corner, okay? I want to hear all about it. So before we start story time, if you have any health questions, any Halio Malleola questions, song requests, you know where to find me. That's my email, same as always. Please email me. I love hearing from you all. And remember, if you want to watch this presentation, that is our YouTube right there. Our friend Jennifer in office is working on uploading those for us now. Sorry about that delay, but we will get those up as we moving forward. And so you can go back and watch all the good stuff we've been doing. And on Wednesday, we will have yoga with Coach Erica. Okay, Sound good? Yeah, I see some excited faces. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording.